You're listening to the Real Longevity Podcast, your number one podcast resource for living a longer life. Here we discuss topics on personal fitness, longevity, and real lasting elevation of mind, body, and spirit. Join us as we build a community of healthy men and women enjoying lasting levels of real health and vitality. If you're currently feeling frustrated with pain, flat, or fed up with aging faster than you actually are, you're invited to join us each and every week here on the Real Longevity Podcast. Welcome to the Real Longevity family and get ready to live a life you truly love.
Welcome back to the Real Longevity Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hendricks, and today we have another outstanding, informative, and elevating show for you. I'd like to welcome all first-time listeners to the podcast. Welcome. So happy to have you here. And be sure to stay with us all the way to the end of the show, where I will be sharing all my social media links where you can connect with me and the Real Longevity community as we continue to grow, share the word about what we're doing over here on the Real Longevity Podcast. Brilliant to have you here once again. Truly appreciate you tuning in. It's going to be another awesome show. And I need to tell you about something that is happening to your body right now. Silently, gradually, and almost certainly without you really realizing it. And that is you're losing muscle. Now, not because you're neglecting yourself, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because after the age of 35, the human body begins losing muscle mass at a rate of around about 1% a year. After 45, that process accelerates again, and even more so after the age of 65. That's what the research and studies have confirmed. Now, this condition has a name. It's called sarcopenia. And I want to talk to you about it today because in 30 plus years of working with men and women over the age of 45, I've never met a new client who was aware of it. Not one. But yet, sarcopenia is the single biggest driver and the slower of our metabolism. That persistent weight gain, the joint pain, that fatigue, the balance issues or loss of balance as we get older, and the gradual loss of physical independence that so many people struggle with and accept as part of getting older. This is what happens. It's not inevitable. Just last week, I remember in my pain management cohort, we were discussing unwanted weight gain, and very few of them knew about this issue, sarcopenia, which significantly contributed or contributes. And so we're going to talk about it, and it's the title of the show is Stop Wasting Away, the muscle you're currently losing, and why sarcopenia is a hidden health crisis after 45. Stop wasting away, the muscle you're currently losing, why sarcopenia is the hidden health crisis after 45. We're going to talk about sarcopenia, what it actually is, what it's doing to your body right now, and most importantly, more specifically, evidence-based steps that you can take to stop it, reverse it, slow down, rebuild muscle, and makes everything else in your health. It ripples out into other areas of your health, make it work even better. This is the A in our Real Rejuvenation Framework. You know, I always like to share the framework so it helps you move forward, make things easy to digest and apply. And we're talking about activity and exercise daily, both for the body and the mind. And today we're going to understand exactly why muscle is not just an aesthetic goal, it's a strategy for longevity. Let's dive in. So what exactly is sarcopenia and what's it actually doing? So let me be very specific because vague information doesn't really help you. We know after 45, without targeted intervention, the average person loses anything between 3 and 5% of muscle mass every decade. Now that might sound not like a big deal, but consider what muscle actually does for you, how important it is, and then you'll begin to understand. Muscle tissue is your primary metabolic engine. It burns calories at rest. It significantly uses more than fat tissue. So every kilogram of muscle you lose slows your resting metabolic rate. So your ability to metabolize is compromised per every kilogram of muscle that you use. So this is why weight used to manage at 35, no problem, eat what you want, becomes almost impossible to shift once you get to 45, 50, 55 plus. It's not that your willpower has a weakened or there's something wrong with you. It's your engine, your metabolic engine. That's the capacity has shrunk, it's declined. Your muscles also protect your joints. I mentioned about last week in our joint pain management clinic, we were talking about unwanted weight gains, but we also talk about the importance of protecting your joints with good muscles. They act as shock absorbers, so reducing the load on your cartilage, your tendons, and your ligaments. As muscle declines, your joints are exposed to high impact and potentially greater wear and tear, which is the direct route that people get with knee pain, hip pain, also back pain that many people are struggling with over the age of 45. We hear it all the time on my back, on my knee, on my hip. That's down to muscle, or the losing or the decline of muscle mass in their bodies. When you eat carbohydrates, the glucose enters your bloodstream. The muscle tissue is where the majority of that glucose is supposed to go. However, the less muscle mass means less disposal capacity, which means higher blood sugar, that means increased insulin resistance, a much larger risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Again, this is something that is very common. The less obvious but equally as important truth is muscle mass correlates directly with longevity. That's what all the latest studies, research is telling us now. And this is why very much you've heard it, that in order to improve the quality of your life and also the quality of your life, i.e. the longevity, muscle is medicine. I always heard me talk about movement is medicine, but muscle is medicine as well. Multiple scale studies have now confirmed that muscle mass is one of your strongest predictors of how long you're going to live and how well you're going to live, the quality of your life. So in simple terms, more quality muscle, skeletal muscle, and more muscle mass you have, that can impact directly and indirectly to look at how you're going to live long term and the quality of the life that you're going to live long term. The science is almost conclusive now, it's unambiguous. Muscle is not just vanity, as I said, it's medicinal. So here's the challenge. Most people over 45 are exercising, are doing lots of cardio, they're doing lots of walking, doing lots of swimming exercises, cycling, doing aerobics classes, all the things that they enjoy, which is very good. I'm all for and a big fan of promoting exercise activities, all excellent activities, but they are not doing anything sufficiently to prevent or reverse sarcopenia, which we spoke about. Cardio helps and will impact positively on your cardiorespiratory system or your cardiovascular fitness. It burns calories during a session, it lifts your mood, it supports metabolic health, but it does not generate mechanical stimulus or place stress on your musculoskeletal system that signals to your muscles to grow, to preserve them, to maintain that density in the muscle and density in the bone. That signal comes from resistance training. We know that. Loading your body, asking your muscles to work with and against the force or with or against gravity. Something that is challenging to your muscles. This does not mean you have to become a powerlifter. I know a lot of people, especially females, I think it's a bit of a generalization, but a lot of females have this preconceived idea that they have to lift heavy weights and they're going to get big and bulky. It doesn't mean that you need to go into the gym. It doesn't mean that you need to do anything that feels dangerous or extreme to you or inappropriate to you. It means you need to give your muscle reason to exist. You need to give it a reason to work against the force. And the good news is your muscles are extremely responsive at any age. Because I know this is a concern for a lot of people. They hear that they have to do resistance training. They're encouraged to do resistance training. But their pushback is, I'm too old for this. I can't do this at my age. But that's not true. The research on muscle growth in people in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s is quite outstanding and remarkable. Your body is not giving up on you. It just needs for you to give it the green light, give it the right kind of signals for it to do and develop and respond in the right kind of way. So what are the things that you can do? What are the 3 steps that you can take that's going to help you to offset that lowering of that muscle capacity or lowering of that muscle mass or reducing your risk of sarcopenia. I want you to begin resistance training twice a week. So that is step number 1. I want you to begin resistance training twice a week, not 5 days, not necessarily every day, twice. If you're not doing it at the moment, starting at 2 is plenty enough because frequency matters. You've heard me say it many times, and I'll say it again. Your fitness without the right frequency is flawed and foolish. Your fitness, your health without the right frequency and consistency is flawed and foolish. So by frequency, I'm talking about something that you can realistically do if you're not doing it at the moment. And twice a week is a good place to start. Consistency is key, and it needs to feel manageable. So that's why I'm encouraging you. Step number 1 is introducing resistance training twice a week. Don't require a gym to do this. Bodyweight resistance exercise is sufficient to begin making meaningful progress. So get the idea out of your head if you think that you have to go to an intimidating environment, such as a gym that you may not like at the moment. Foundational movements are things such as doing squats or sit to stand from a chair. Push-ups, you can do that against a wall. You can do on your knees where you can do push-ups as well if that's something that you can manage to do. Hip hinges, so deadlift type movements where you're bending forward, picking things up off the floor. Learn to load the hamstrings or the muscles in your posterior chain or the back of the body, if you like, things such as your glutes. And pulling exercises, rowing exercises, using a resistance band or even something like a pair of heavy water bottles or milk bottles that you can pick up and put down, pulling exercises. They're the primary movements. These 4 movement patterns cover the entire body. They'll give you and build that foundational muscle across the areas such as your legs, your hips, your back, your chest and arms, and help to protect your joint. That'll help to boost and drive your metabolism up and give you the support, just like other activities that you might do in the gym would do as well. So if you're doing that twice a week, anything from 10 up to 20 minutes, that is plenty enough to stimulate that muscle improving. That's what we're encouraging to do in step number 1. That's your minimum effective dose. 2 resistance training sessions twice per week. Step number 2, increase your protein intake immediately. Now, muscle protein synthesis, and this is a process of building and maintaining muscle tissue. It requires you to adequately supply the body with protein. And most people over 45 are not eating nearly enough. And we've spoke about this before. I'll leave a link to the previous episode. I think it was episode 89 where we were talking about the importance of protein. The current guidance in protein intake is 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That is designed for a sedentary young person or young people to prevent deficiency in their body when it comes to protein. It's not sufficient to maintain muscle mass in an active person over 45, but the research shows it's clear that for muscle prevention and growth after 45, you need between 1.6 and 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So let's break that down to simple math. For a 70 kilo person, this would mean anything between 112 to 154 grams of protein per day. Most people eating standard Western diet are eating much less than that, much closer to 60 to 80 grams. So if you can think of moving forward, how you can begin to prioritize protein with every single meal, you're going to be in a much better position. So protein sources, you're probably asking now, what are they, Mike? So we're talking about quality organic eggs, Greek yogurt, fish, chicken, legumes, quality protein powder if needed. Now, again, if you're someone who has an alternative diet, such as vegetarian, there are good quality sources as well. But you have to do what's right for you in terms of your taste and obviously your palate and what sits right in terms of your values and where your eating pattern lies currently at the moment. If you're aiming for 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal, you will be in a much better position. This simple change, increasing protein adequately, making sure that you're fueling your body with the right amount of protein, has been shown in multiple studies to significantly reduce muscle loss, especially as we're getting older. So 55, 60, 65, 70 and older. It helps to improve your body composition, and that's simply a term for the makeup of your muscle, your water composition, your fat composition as well, our fat percentage. And it's also going to help you to enhance recovery after you've done exercise. So again, nothing complicated. How can you look to introduce more protein in your body on your daily diet consistently? And then step number 3, track functional strength, not appearance. Now, what I mean by this is, and again, come at me in the comments or leave me or send me a message if you think I'm wrong when I'm saying this. All too often, when it comes to resistance training, it's all about aesthetics and appearance, the way we look. But what I'm asking you to consider here is the way you measure your progress in this area matters more than you might think. Because you're not only measuring your weight or just measuring how you look. You may not see meaningful or significant progress for several weeks, and that can be discouraging, and I get that, because people pay a lot of attention to the weight and obviously how they look. But what I'm asking you to consider instead is track functional strength markers. Can you stand from a low chair without using your hands, for example? How many press-ups can you actually do? Can you carry your own shopping without any pain or discomfort? Can you walk up 2, 3, 4 flights of stairs and still hold a conversation without blowing? Can you get up from the floor easily? These are all real life metrics, especially for people after the age of 45. And people say, I can't walk up the flight of stairs, so I have to take the lift. Measure these things. They connect directly to your quality of life. So if you're walking up a flight of stairs at the moment and you're blowing, that ain't a real ideal position to be in. But if you take the steps and measures to start improving that, and those next time you walk up those flight of stairs, you're blowing to a lesser degree, or you're not blowing at all, or you're managing to hold that conversation, that's something that's elevated and enhanced the quality of your life. So this is what we're asking you to consider. These are real metrics. They directly correlate to your quality of life, your independence, and longevity. And this is what we're asking to do. They change measurably within 4 to 6 weeks of doing any sort of consistent resistance exercise. So again, those things that we talked about, those basic exercises, those pushes, those pulls, those bending exercises, if you're doing those consistently, tied with your cardiovascular exercise, that's going to improve the quality of your life. Track those things. You can see those things. Not just looking at the scales or looking in the mirror. Yes, they are good ways to assess your progress, but I don't want it to be the sole focus. Track, celebrate when you see yourself getting better, feel yourself getting better, and let that be your motivation to keep you going, moving towards your goal. So, in summary, we've covered the topic of sarcopenia, the silent gradual muscle loss that starts for many people in their 30s, accelerates through the 40s and 50s. So by the time they're getting into the late 50s, 60s, they're not feeling or looking the best. They're not feeling or looking as strong as they once stood. Muscle is not just about appearance. It's your metabolic engine. It's your medicine. It's protecting your joints. It's your glucose disposal system. And it's your longevity lever. Think of it that way, muscle as medicine. We've given you 3 clear steps. One is to introduce resistance training twice a week, and then you can look to build on that. 2 is to increase your protein intake between 1.5 or 1.6 up to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. And track your functional strength markers rather than just looking in the mirror or looking on the scales. See how you're feeling. Look at your physical capacity. What areas are you getting better at? Your muscle is your medicine. The muscles are not gone. So even though you might be feeling a little bit weaker than you normally do now, whatever age you are, in your late 40s, 50s, 60s or over, your muscles are not gone. They're just waiting. They're sat there waiting. And every resistance session that you introduce moving forward is a signal back to them to get building and building you back stronger. Whatever level you're starting at now, message today and the takeaway for you today is get back to doing some form of resistance training to help make muscle your medicine. You need the muscle, and I want you to keep that muscle because your body needs it. If you've been doing cardio and wondering why nothing is changing, now you know the reason why. Now you know the solution and you know exactly what you can do about it. You can find out more about this sort of thing when you come and join the Real Longevity Podcast community. We talk about these topics and practical steps that you can introduce, strategies that are going to help you move forward, that's going to help you build a body after the age 45, 50, 60, and much older. If you're someone who wants to work with people who are like-minded, people who are doing similar sort of things and progressing, I'm going to leave some details in the show notes where you can absolutely join the party and talk and share your wins and insights as well. And if you're ready for something more personalized, something more bespoke, tailored, one that integrates into your life, it integrates resistance training and nutrition, lifestyle, mindset in a way that's built entirely around your life at the moment, or do you apply to work with me directly? Again, I'll leave the links in the show notes. All right, I trust you found today's episode insightful and uplifting. I'll leave all my connection details in the show notes where you can connect with me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channels where we upload regular bonus content for you as well. Until next time, remember, your muscles are one of the greatest investments you can make in your future. So start today. Okay, I'll see you on the next one, guys. Be well, be wise, be cool, be calm, and keep it real. Blessings and chi. Peace out.